Hello everyone, this is Tcrypt. So today I'm going to show you how to solve the TryHackMe machine harder. Let's get started. I have the machine IP, so let's make sure that we are able to ping the machine, and we are. So next step is to run the nmap command to kind of see what ports and services running on the host. So do nmap-bn for probe node -sv for sending version probes -sc for sending doing a script scan, and I'm going to save it in a script, but I will not do it now because I have already saved it once. So I will just type the full command and the IP, and that should be it. So it's going to take some while, so I have already run it and saved it in a file called hardcore nmap. So let's cat the file. So we have port 22 and 80 open, and it's running OpenSSH 8.3 on port 22, and it doesn't look like we will have any vulnerable it doesn't look like it's running a vulnerable version, or we'll have any exploits that we can exploit the port 22. So let's move on to port 80. So upon navigating the port, we see this. The next natural step is to look for pages like admin/login, and we could do this forever, or just run GoBuster on this one. So I'm going to run a new tab, switch to root, and run GoBuster on this URL. So let's put it in dir mode. -u is this, -w is the word list that we're going to use. I'm going to use the standard word list as we typically use. Let's see, dirbuster directory list 2.3 medium. However, we did find a note on the instructions for this box to run cyclets. So let me actually run the cyclist one. So I have cyclists here, and it's going to be discovery word list, and we're going to discover web content, and let me run the common dot text file, and let's run it at 50 threads, and let's see. Okay, it's saying it has a wildcard match, so let's try running with this. Okay, so looks like it's showing a bunch of 200 messages and 403, which is the 4th-minute message. So before moving anything from here, let's just load it via Burp Suite and see what's exactly happening on this. Like, you can take a look into the source, but let's just load Burp Suite first. So I'm going to open applications and open Burp Suite. Okay, so I have the burp suite running on port 8080. I'm going to point it to the burp and load the page again, send it to repeater, and turn the intercept off, and also turn burp off here. So let's go back to the burp suite and send the request again. And we don't find anything unusual like comments or any other new pages. Let's look at all href equals, and we can take. So we have vendor, and that's it. So no other links except this one. I don't think this one is useful for us because it's going to be having all the static files that are required to display the good view that you're looking at at the browser. But looking at the headers, we see that it's running Nginx 1.18. So we can quickly check if there's a vulnerable software, if it's an exploit for that. So let's use search exploit Nginx, and looks like we don't have any exploits for this. So let's move on, and we see the cookie. And here we have the domain for the cookie, which is pwd hardware.local. So looks like this host might be running multiple domains or subdomains. So Nginx is like a proxy that usually uh, you know uh, it's like a front end to the back end, right? So let's try and load this domain here, copy this, and let's add it to our host file. So we gotta keep the IP as well. So copy that, and let's see what we have at this address. So let's copy that and paste it. So looks like I haven't. What did I do? Yeah, so I missed the one here, so that makes sense. Okay, so we have password manager, hardware corp. Take a look at the source, and again, we don't see anything particularly useful right up front. And this is the CSS components, and that's it. So let's go back and try the usual admin. Okay, it's saying our source code will be reviewed soon. Let's do this. Let's copy this. Probably, you know what? Let's send it through burp and see what we see there, and take it from there. So let's send it to burp, and where's that? It's intercepts on. Okay, so we have a session ID, which means that our password worked. Well, let's see. Okay, so it's saying bad request again. What if we haven't logged on, right? So copy this. Let's load a new private window so that we don't have a session, and turn the intercept on. And I'm not sure if it's going to need its own private. Yeah, so unfortunately, I don't know what happened. I think we will need a session ID to even see this message, because both in private view and both of these views, we have loaded the index.php page. So let's close it. So let's assume that we have the credentials admin. We want to make a note of that. So I'm going to create a new file called creds.txt and note it down. So let's move on. The next step is to find and try and brute force this subdomain. Let's do that with GoBuster again. Like they have mentioned in this the notes for this box, we're gonna use the sec list that we used here. I guess I close this, but yeah. So I have it typed down in my history, and I have it saved. I will have it saved in a file with -o GoBuster dot underscore 80.log, and right off the bat, we see a .git directory present. So let's try and load. Let's minimize the burp suite right now and load this file here. Okay, I need to disable the, the interception here. So turn it off. And what do I do with the file? Okay, it's saved here. Open it. Looks like we do have a valid directory there, which is .git. Naturally, we want to be able to dump the Git directory because usually Git is where the source code for the applications are stored. And looks like there's a poor configuration there to have the Git directory under the web root. So we're going to take advantage of that. So let's Git directory. Let's search for this enumerate Git directory, and let's see. We have how did they automate it? We need to to use this Git tools, and we have a tool called dumper. Let's take a look on that, and it's a shell script. Okay, so let's first read and see what they're doing with that. Okay, this is the one that's actually getting the script, the directories, and we have a bunch of if statements and then download. Nothing malicious from what I've seen so far. So it's kind of actually safe to use this. Let's download this one onto our attacker machine using wget. And we have, let's run this file, git dumper.show, and we have a usage information. And we need, okay, so we need a destination directory to dump all of this. So let's create a new directory called git. And we need to provide the URL. We know the URL was this, so take that and let's give git. Is that all? Let's see. Okay. We have a bunch of colors. All good. Let's cd to the directory and take a look what's inside. Sometimes it could be hidden, so do a just LA and you'll find the hidden files. Let's go to the hidden directory .git. Okay, so let's put it this way, and the commit message is somewhere, something that we would want to look at because that's somewhere where the developers might leave some user information, passwords, all those kinds of shit. So let's take a look, and we don't find anything here. Let's not save that. Let's look into description. Okay, nothing there. And let's look into config. Okay, let's I think index will be the one that we are looking at here with the username and password. So since we are logged in, we're not getting the login prompt here, but yeah, so let's go to info and see what we have there. And we have exclude, nothing interesting there. So I don't know actually how to, I didn't know actually to how go forward from here. So for that, I used Google search to kind of maybe say dump .git directory. Actually, dump is not, I think I want to check out because if you have a Git repository on your local, which I do here, when you did the dump, it basically created a whole new copy of the repository on your local. So let's treat that as a repository and check out the code. Check out actually it retrieves the code from the repository, and the syntax for that, I guess, is git checkout. And how do I get uh, everything in the file? So let's, okay, I'm here on this root directory where I have the .git. So let's run checkout and let's say star. Okay, we have 4 new files. Take a look, and we have a bunch of new files which could be interesting. So the first step is to take a look at auth.php, and I think this is the function, this is the page that is responsible for authentication. We see that message we saw earlier, and let's expand this one. We have an authorize function which is authorizing. So if the cookie is set, it's taking it, and okay, if not, it's taking the username and password, doing a hash comparison. We don't have to worry about this one because we already know the username and password is admin. And this is the redirect to prompt. So what is prompt? Uh, okay, check. And prompt is basically, I think basically the page we looked at, because here we have the label, username, and password fields. So I think prompt is where it prompts you for the credentials. So that makes sense. Nothing interesting. So we can search for password here by hitting right slash and password, and that's it. So we don't have really anything that's useful. So let's quit and take a look on the next one, which is the hmac.php. And before that, let's take a quick look into index, because I was imagining the index.php would have the login information, the login page, but we saw that in the auth.php. So let's take a look into this one and see what it has. So it's initiating the session, and okay, that makes sense. So this file here loads the auth.php onto this, so that's why we have um, the login information on /index.php, and it is also loading hmac, and it's loading credentials.php as well. So but I did not find any credentials.php in here. Let's take a second look. So let's take a look at .ignore, and it ignored credentials.php and secret.php. So which means that whenever the developer wants to commit or check or add the files to the repository, it's not going to really copy these 2 files from his machine. So that's why it's not showing up on this directory right here. So that makes sense. So let's go back and take a look into hmac. Okay, and here we have some information. So if get h, which is it's getting the parameter h from our request, so it should be like something like this. Oh, my bad. Like this. So I'm gonna have this here on. So let's see. I don't know what's happening with my keyboard here, but So it's going to get a parameter with call h. And let's take a look at the next one. And or empty host. So we need another header called host. Let's another parameter. So let's add that here. Equals. I'm just noting it down so that it may be easier for us when we want to actually send something. So, and next thing is it's getting host and h. And then what's the next one? And we have another parameter called n. So let's use this n. Okay. So now we know we have three parameters. Let's take a look into the logic here. So if both h and host are empty, it's going to display a bad request, which we find, that's what exactly is being displayed here. So we are hitting this logic here when we browse to .index.php. So let's go to the next one. So here it's where it loads the secret.php, and okay, there's a comment saying set secret var. So it's taking a secret variable from the secret.php. So it goes into this logic if n is set, and if n is set, it's going to take n and take secret from the secret.php and compute a SHA-56 hash out of it, which is an hmac, and store it in the variable secret. So finally, what it's doing is creating a new hmac from the host, which is the parameter right here, and the secret, which is this, and storing it in hm. And if hm it's not equals h, then we will have forbidden again. So we don't see what if they are equal to, right? We only have the error condition here. I am not sure. I think we can take a look into the index.php file for that. I don't know. So looks like, okay, so what makes sense is when the PHP runs, it's like a script. So it's going to run line by line. So it if it succeeds in this line, it's going to go ahead and do this. So which I guess it might have interesting files that we want, like the credential files or even the plain text credentials or whatever. So what's happening in our case is we are failing at this line here, at hmac, and because we have a die here. If there's no die, what would happen is, regardless of what happened here, it's going to continue getting the credential.php file. So since we have a well-coded logic, we might not move to the next one. So let's see how to bypass this one. I didn't really know how this worked. So what I did is do a quick search for PHP hmac bypass. Okay, and looks like it was it was a challenge. It was inspired by a challenge that was created before, and this code looks exactly or more or less similar to the hmac.php here. If you take a look, it's getting h and host, and here it's hmac host bad request, same, and same again. We're gonna get it's gonna get a secret from the environment variable, but we are getting it from the secret.php. So that's the only change we have, and rest are all same. So n for nonce, we have nonce here, same thing happening. So with that said, let's see how they have solved this one. If okay, let's walk through the code. Line 3 to 6 require hmac, which we already know. What we didn't know is h, right? We need to provide a mac or hmac value or a hash that should be equal to the host compared when the uh, whatever the hmac we are going to provide is should be equal to the hmac obtained by getting the host and secret. We could do that because we could do that if there is no secret here, because we would be computing a hmac for the host, and since we are sending the host in our request here, we can basically compute let's say host equals anything, right? google.com. We can create a hmac for this one and send here, but it won't work because they have another secret. So we need the secret for us to move forward, but that's why I have it. I have Google this one here. Let's see how to bypass that logic. I'll put the link to this page on the video. You can take a read. So I'm going to move forward really fast and just jump to the logic where they're going to bypass. Okay, let's see. Where's that? We need and return files. I don't know why it's going to return false, because they are passing an array. Okay. To get right to the vulnerability, we observe the behavior or hmac function when an array is supplied as a message. Let's run the code locally. Let's actually run this. Let's actually run this in our machine and see what's happening. I know it's kind of a little bit of research, so hang on. So I'm going to create a file called test.php and then echo hmac and see. Did I miss something? I think I missed a semicolon. I'm not too familiar with PHP, so let's put that semicolon right there. It's not executing anything. That's maybe you need to have the PHP enclosed within it. Okay, expects to be string, array given. Okay, that's the warning, but we don't have the hmac as false. Okay, so what they're doing is it false is what the comparison is. So let's do the comparison here and see if it's false. If it's false, it should be returning true. So hmac equals false. If it's 1 equals, it means we are assigning it a value. If it's 2 equals, it means we are actually asking if it's equal or not. And we see the same error. Okay, we have the same error here as well. So hmac just triggers a warning and returns false. So looks like it's returning a false, and we are seeing 1 here, which we did not see before. 1 is true in PHP. So if you remember what we did here, we asked if hmac equals false. It's saying yes, it equals false, and that's why I'm printing 1. So we did not find it because, obviously we have this next line overlapping it. So we are having this result right there. So what we need is basically send an array in the place of nonce. So if you took, where is that? Yeah. So if you look here, we need to send a array here so that when hmac is computed out of an array, right, like we are exactly right there, we have SHA of 256, and we need to supply an array here, and we need to supply a secret here. So how to supply an array so we cannot just supply array like this, right? It shouldn't work. It's not going to work. We need to find, let's load the page. I'm not sure why it's not coming up. I'm not sure how we can set the value for nonce as array, and for that I'm going to do a good bit of search. PHP declare array. I don't know what the array variable should look like. Declare, let's say, variable as array. Okay, so bit of search. Okay, so looks like we can declare an array with this square brackets, all right? And let's try and do this and see. So what we're gonna do is leave this empty and make an array with this, so that we are making this hmac function, this secret, a false. So what we will end up having is, I'm going to create a new for. So we're going to end up having this one. So let me take this real quick. Test2.php. So we're going to have false here because we sent an array. It should set the output to false, and it's going to create an hmac of the host. So let's see. Let me pass google.com as the host, and let's create an hmac value for this. Right? We need that to be printed out. So echo $hmac, and let's run the test2.php, and we have the mac value for that. So let's copy this and go down here to h, and we have h equals the hmac we computed, and host is google.com, and array. Okay, so why am I doing all that? Because that's what, okay, so they have actually showed us how to make a parameter array here, so my bad. But looks like this should succeed, because if you remember from the logic from here, if you look at the logic here, it's saying if hmac not equals the h, so the hmac that it is going to compute should be equal to the hmac that we are going to send. If that's not equal, it's going to send a 403 forbidden. If it's equal, it's going to load the credentials.php page. So fingers crossed. Let's send this one and see if it works. Looks like it worked, but I'm going to show response in browser so that we are able to take a look into the page. So I'm going to paste this, and we have the password for username EBS. We also have a new URL. So let's copy that, and actually let's copy the host name alone and add it to our host file. And save it. Okay, I think I missed the L at the last. So let's save that and go to this page right here. And We know the EVS, the username, so we can just type it and log in. Okay, so we have another roadblock here. It's saying your IP is not allowed. Let's pass this through burp again. Turn the intercept on and load this again. Just real quick, I'm going to turn off the proxy because it's going to keep accumulating traffic that is not required for us. So, okay, so it's saying basically if you don't have the source IP equals this, so we are not allowed. If you remember what I said, Nginx is a front end to a back end service. So front end is like a server in front of another server. So usually these rules where the IP whitelisting, all that is implemented at the proxy. Nginx is a proxy. So we have to fool this Nginx to actually believe, make it believe that we are coming from this IP. And there's a really good way to do that using X forwarded for header. I'm not sure if I got the header details correct, but let's just find it out. So it says it needs to be 10, 10, 10, 10. And let's say send, and we'll have the command, the web shell. So it's saying it's taking command equals during using a post method. So let's convert this to post method, change request method, and I'll say command equals what. Let's see what we can do. Who am I should work. Let's do that. And do we have an output? I guess we have the www. So let's try to print something that usually takes more space than that, so that we exactly know if it worked or not. So yeah, we have the IP address of the machine printed, and that's confirms that we have code execution on this machine. So now we have an initial foothold. We just need to convert this to a reverse shell and to a privilege escalation and grab the root flag. So since this video has been running for quite a while now, I'm going to stop this video at this time and create another video as a part 2 for this video so that you're not watching it at a stretch. So with that said, I'm going to end this video right now. I'll see you on the next video real soon. Until then, decrypt.